So hello, Ian. It's been a
Hi,
while.
it's been a while, certainly has.
Yeah. So it's been a very busy year so far, but we thought we'd get back to creating some more of this content for you. And specifically, today we're going to talk about Microsoft Ignite, the partner event that's being run in Chicago, I think, currently. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's actually due to close today. So if you're watching in the future, welcome to the past. But we thought we'd give a very brief kind of overview about the kinds of things that are being talked about at Ignite. So I think, Ian, if I'm not wrong, it's probably AI. Don't you? Don't you think so?
I think I will guarantee, probably will guarantee there won't be a single session that doesn't mention it,
Mm,
because it is just such the big thing, and not just because it's Microsoft have always had the big thing, but this one is such a game changer, and I think we're only just starting to realise the massive impact it can have in a positive way. Not as a few
mm,
negatives, but in a positive way to the way all of the Microsoft stack works and people work as human beings. It is really quite incredible, and Microsoft is undoubtedly at the forefront of that, particularly in the
mm.
way they're kind of democratizing it. So and I'm sure we can dive a bit deeper into that. But yeah, I think if you ask me what from our perspective with the customers that we tend to deal with, mainly SMBs, what have you, then top of this is AI, and that is accessible by anybody, and irrespective of the size of the business.
Yeah,
Um, in fact, you could argue the smaller the business, the more percentage impact it can have. To be frank, so there's
absolutely.
that AI. The other ones that are really top of mind, I think, is Business Central. It's it is the answer allegedly to all things SMB, and we can probably discuss that. Um, and the other one actually, which is creeping up in the outside rails for surprisingly for SMBs, is Contact Center, which
Okay.
I think we could also have a discussion around. But before I disappear off down a rabbit hole, I'll go. I'll come cut back to you, Wendy. Keep me under
Thank
control.
you. Oh, I try. I think that the thing about the partner events such as Ignite is that it does give a real sense of being connected to Microsoft, to the wider message, and really for partners like ourselves, even those that can't, actually can't go to the events. For example, we haven't been to the Ignite event in Chicago, but we can actually connect to it online digitally. We've both got digital pass and we've been watching those sessions with interest. It does enable us to really get a steer in terms of what's coming down the line, where the interests are actually, and then gives us a bit of time to actually think about how that might work for the business types of businesses that we support. So I do think that being a Microsoft partner and being able to attend these events is of real use, not only to us, but to our the people that we partner with in business as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's interesting over the past maybe 5 6 years how it's all changed. There used to be always this massive event, latterly in Las Vegas, which I
Hmm.
hate Las Vegas anyway. But anyway,
Yeah, it's
apart
not
from
my
that,
favorite either.
yeah, and in the summer as well when it's nice and hot and sticky. But
Mm,
it was always just the start of the new year. It was so therefore Microsoft were back focused after their close of the year end, which is always important to them, obviously, and it kind of set the framework for the coming year, and there'd always be some announcements there. But it was always an in-person event.
mm,
Um, there started to be some of it coming out across the net, what have you, and obviously attendees would comment on it live as well. But COVID changed all that. It went from that to wholly and solely a streamed event. Um, it's now opened up back again. So now it's more it's a combination of events now, and I think what was learnt in terms of delivering content during COVID has been
mm.
valuable because it does make it more accessible. Obviously, there's a time zone issue for us, but I don't know about
Mm.
you, but at the end of a day, normal day, the last thing you want to do is spend 4 or 5 hours watching a stream. But I think that's where you have to be mindful to say this is part of what we need to do because we need to stay on top of what's happening.
Yeah.
for ourselves, and as you say, quite rightly, for your customers. And I think for the customers is really interesting because, um, I was talking to a customer last week who were implementing customer service, and I said, "And what about a bot?" And they said, "Absolutely no way." I said, "Well, that's interesting. Why not? Not even discuss it?" "No, because we've done it before and it's been a pain." I went, right. So if you did that more than 6 months ago, I would 100% agree with you, because you had to program the bot and you had to think like not just yourself, but how other people might come into your platform and how they might answer the questions, and all the permutations around that were, what have you. And that's never going to be 100%. And every time you want a new product on, you have to reprogram it, etc. I said, now customer services with Copilot, you point it at your knowledge base, and it knows all the answers, to the
Mm,
extent that when you throw some more new content in there, you don't have to go and update your bot. It is current,
mm.
and you could just see the change. Wow, really? Okay, let's change. Now, if we didn't know a bit more about Copilot Studio, that would have held that customer back, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
that's just an example.
Yeah, and I think the Microsoft Partner Program itself offers us a great number of opportunities to actually learn more about those products. It is a constantly changing environment. It's very fast changing as well, which at times it can feel a little bit like it's changing too fast, because it's difficult to stay not only on top but acclimatized to what was and might have only been for a very short period, because actually they're really moving into this whole new space now. And I think those chatbots they're part of that process, aren't they? They didn't last long. They weren't around for very long. They had a very specific remit. They fitted in that to the best of the ability of the technology at the time. But now, as you say, AI is with us and it's changing everything.
Yeah. But if you think of just taking customer services as an example, a well implemented Copilot instance, it can actually really transform, again, even in a small business, or particularly in a
Yeah,
small business,
particularly.
take all
Yeah.
that effort away from a customer service agent, because that just happens. Nobody's involved. In my view, it's a naught to many. So naught business people and many customers involved. It might
Mm,
be then that they come onto your site, if you use customer services, come onto the portal that it drives, and they start to create a case, and AI builds up the knowledge base articles most appropriate. And we know that research says over 60% of people would rather fix something themselves than talk to a human being. Bit
yeah.
sad, but that's reality.
Yeah.
So again, that's a naught to many. Then you may come down to interacting in a chat. If the bot hasn't done it itself, well, that's a one to possibly two or three, depending how good the customer service agent is at being able to monitor multiple threads. And finally, you pick the phone up. Now you're on a one-to-one. That's now getting expensive, particularly again in the scale of a small business. So it really is a game changer if put in place, because there is some setup, there is some configuration, but not in the same way that it was. And
Mm. I think the other thing I'd say there is it really becomes a mechanism for scaling as a business and growing without necessarily having to increase your headcount immediately. It can actually feather that growth in, because as you say, not all of the calls need to actually come through to a customer service agent. You should be able to kind of remit and manage that level as well, which in it is great with a small business, because the most expensive thing is, of course, the people.
so, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But also, it means you can bring in people that haven't got new recruits who perhaps haven't got the knowledge or the experience to quickly come on board and learn, because they're experiencing it from the other side. So yeah, we can go on forever about the advantages, but a lot of people think this is big business, and it's not. No,
Yeah.
this works. This works 100% in SMB.
So just to round that off, I think what we're saying is the value we started with the value of the Microsoft Partner Program and the events at Ignite, the sessions there. And what we're saying is small business owners don't discount AI. It is potentially going to be able to save you some money and enable you to grow. So if that is something you're interested in, please do contact either Ian or myself. Details will be at the end, and we'd be delighted to show you the way it could help your business.
100%.